Hello and welcome to my studio journal. Now back in 2022, I started to redesign my home studio, shifting from software to hardware for the first time. What began as a few videos for some curious students soon became an ongoing unfiltered record. So this is day 7 of this absolute mess. Well, like I said, the first bunch of walls really worked out well. It's this fourth one that's given me trouble. And I knew it was going to, because the thing is, I'm experimenting with it. I've never tried this sort of thing before. So I'm at the stage now where I would like to hook up the Native Instruments machine to the mixing board that's behind the camera. Now, I was looking at a couple of different options. One, I could buy cables. It would be about, close to $150 to $200 worth of cables to run across into the mixer. I have to have 4 cables running out of that. I have to have 2 ins and 2 outs running so I can actually sample back into it. I could just simply buy a couple of cables and then just plug them in and as I need them, drag them across the room. I'd rather not do it that way. To get an audio interface for the machine, and then I would just use the one USB 3 cable, extended cable. I can get those up to 20 feet or whatever it is, and that would bring it right over onto this wall that I could just patch up with some reasonably priced cables into. It would be a lot cheaper than doing it the other way. And one would say, well, yeah, but you're buying an audio interface, which is more expensive than if you bought the cables. But the truth is, depending on what audio interface I would choose to get or look at, there'd be more options involved. So let's say I rented a Scarlett 18i20 with a whole bunch of ins and outs and all that sort of stuff. Would it be overkill? By all means, it would be overkill. Would it allow me to plug in other things? Yes, it would. It gives me some more options. I'm not saying that's the way to go. This is completely an experimental trial right now because I have no idea what it's going to be like. Right now, I'm looking to head off to get another power conditioner as well as a patch bay. And if I hook everything in through the patch bay and all of a sudden I got all this buzzing and hissing, well, then the patch bay goes back. But I'm not going to know until I try it. If that's successful, I come back, set everything up. Right now, there's a little bit of an issue getting things in stores right now because there's a shipping, I don't want to say crisis, but it seems like nobody has too much of anything. Because so far, everything is wired into the walls as good as it's going to get. It's only machine noise. All good to go, except for I just know when I hook up that USB that we're going to have problems. Done. So I still wanted to hook up the Roland FA as well as the DeepMind 12. Now the problem is that I need some TRS cables for that. You think it would be easy to find TRS cables like in a store. No, went to the major box store. I can find them. It's gonna cost $80 a synth for 2 10-foot TRS cables. That's way more than what I want to spend for that. The DeepMind 12, I only have to run maybe 5 feet at the most, and so once again, it would be another $80 for the cables that are available in the store right now because some of them are sold out. There's just no point in spending that sort of money. So I did get the patch bay, and I did get the second power conditioner, so I'm well on my way there. So now I'm heading off to another store to see if we can find some reasonably priced TRS cables. Yes, went to the music store, of course, to pick up some stuff. One of the other music stores where I live, which of course is shut, so it's no longer in service. Well, I'll try to see maybe if the next store is still open. Other than one store where I live, it's really difficult if you're into getting anything electronic. There's basically almost one store and one store only to get everything from it. I mean, there used to be, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 different stores in this area. It's kind of down to where if you wanted to buy a keyboard, for instance, other than going to like maybe 2 places, as far as cables and anything like that, you're pretty much hooped there. So anyhow, off to the next place. The first music store I went to didn't exist anymore. The second music store didn't have any selection as far as chords. I don't quite understand why this shortage of balanced cables. So anyhow, I'm off to now the third store of the day to try and see if I can come up with some reasonably priced cables. Other than that, it's back onto Amazon, which is probably the way I should do it anyhow, instead of looking at this other stuff. But off to another music store to see what happens. Right, so just coming back from the last music store that I visited, and it turns out good quality cables, but half price compared to what the other store was selling them. So got all the cables I need at least to hook up this first stage, so now it's to go home and deal with the patch bay. So far it's been a pretty good day, other than running into trouble getting the cables. Everything else worked out fine. So we have the 4x4 power station from Applied Research and Technology, as well as their P48 patch bay. So those two things we're going to get up and running right now. We did find some cables from Digiflex. We're going to hook those up as well. Okay, so once again, we're going to quickly unbox the power station here. Now the thing about this power station is it's the lowest model that they have. It's not, because really I'm just looking for a glorified extension cord. That's what I'm doing. If it does all this other filtering and all that sort of stuff, that's awesome. But that's not really what my main concern is. My main concern is being able to have a reliable power source where I can kind of like plug things into. And this just makes everything so neat and tidy, and it's meant to be turned off and on and all that sort of thing. So the first thing to do is to get this set up on the other side of the room. And when I say set up, I don't mean 110% set up. I mean just sitting there on the shelf. I also have another idea that I might be able to actually get a rack set up. Anyhow, we'll deal with that later, but first things first, let's get this set up. So if you look in the back here, we have a red light. You can see that's the power system all set up. And by setup, I mean it's just lying on the shelf plugged in. That's as far as we're going to get right now with it, because I was going to build a rack system for that other side of the wall. So I did get a rack for that. And then it turned out that that didn't work. But this happens to fit underneath here. So I don't know. I thought it might be neat to maybe start thinking of a rack system. I don't know if that's going to happen yet. But before I even worry about any of that stuff, I'm going to unbox the patch bay, and we're going to set up the patch bay and see if that works. I keep the patch bay and we move on. If you'd like to follow the full journey, check out my online studio journal linked in the description. Until next time, I'm just a music teacher having fun. Catch you on the next one.